හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Sunday, the 21st of April 2024. Easter Massacre. Sri Lanka marks 5 years since the tragic Easter Sunday attacks. Seeking justice takes centre stage. Fox Hill tragedy. Fatal accident at Fox Hill Supercross 2024 in Diathalawa takes 7 lives. More than 20 people injured. None left behind. The benefit of economic recovery must be distributed among all. President Ranil Wickremesinghe assures to leave no one behind as the country recovers. SJB promises. Samagi Janabalawege MP Eran Wickremaratne vows to increase EPF interest rates under an SJB government. And committed. Sri Lanka remains steadfast to reaching debt restructuring targets, highlights State Minister of Finance.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Ada Derana First at 9 with Anuradhi Wickremesinghe. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on First at 9 this Sunday night. Let's get you the latest now. Today marks 5 years since the fateful Easter Sunday of 2019, when terror struck the heart of Sri Lanka. The coordinated attacks claimed the lives of more than 272 people, including foreigners who had come to explore the island's beauty. Special commemorative programs were held simultaneously in Christian churches across the island to remember the victims of the attacks. Addressing the main commemoration event at St. Anthony's Shrine in Kochikade, Archbishop of Colombo Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith said that the former and the present governments are trying to suppress the incident without thorough investigation in order to protect individuals and organizations connected to the terror attack.
5 years ago, on the 21st of April 2019, on Easter Sunday, 8 locations in Sri Lanka, including 3 churches located in Colombo, Negombo and Batiklo, and 3 5-star hotels in Colombo, became targets of suicide bombers. These attacks claimed the lives of around 272 innocent people who were engaging in religious activities and enjoying the festive spirit. The victims also included foreigners who were enjoying their visit in Sri Lanka at the 3 5-star hotels that came under attack. This year too, Sri Lankans once again gathered to commemorate the innocent victims of this ruthless terrorist attack. In Colombo, at the St. Anthony's Shrine in Kochikade, which was a target, held a special service at 8 a.m. headed by Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith and other religious leaders. A procession began from the Shrine of St. Anthony's in Kochikade yesterday evening and reached the Katuapitiya Church this morning at around 7:30 a.m. Later, the commemoration began at 8:40 am today at St. Anthony's Shrine, Kochikade, with the participation of ecumenical leaders and ambassadors. At 8:45 p.m., a 2-minute silence was observed to commemorate those who lost their lives due to this tragedy.
පස් වසරකට පෙර සිදු වුණු ඒ ඛේදවාචකය
The event that unfolded 5 years ago remain etched in our memory, an indelible pain that refused to fade. One is the loss of innocent lives during the fateful Easter Sunday attack is a wound that time cannot heal. The second is that it exposes the shortcomings of our leadership. The perpetrators of this heinous act must face justice, yet we find ourselves waiting in vain.
වරදකරුවන්ට දඬුවම් දීමක් අපි දැක්කේ නැහැ.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු තේරීම් කාරක සභාවේ සහ ජනා
The responsibility for implementing recommendations of the Parliamentary Select Committee and the Presidential Commission initially fell upon former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. His promises of impartiality and transparency following the attack were met with hope, but reality proved otherwise. I recall his words, the barriers he faced in executing those recommendations, the prospect of arresting members of friendly organizations and imposing bans seems insurmountable. And so the investigations flattered. Officers were removed, transferred and replaced, disrupting the pursuit of truth. We suspect that both past and present government seek to shield certain individuals and organizations. While it is true that Muslim extremists were involved, evidence points to a more significant force pulling the strings. With the government trying to surpass this case and not having a thorough investigation tells us that this government is also trying to hide the truth. And so, we take our plea to the international stage, not out of disloyalty, but out of necessity. As members of the Catholic community, we love our country. But when avenues for truth within our borders close, we seek answers beyond them.
මේ මහා විනාශය පිළිබඳ සත්‍යය සොයා ගැනීමට අපට වෙන විකල්ප මාර්ගයක් නොමැතිවීම නිසාය.
New Dulux Pentolite Hygiene Plus. Refreshing walls for generations.
Now, former Minister of Public Security, retired Rear Admiral Dr. Sarath Veerasekara states that it is clearly Muslim extremists that committed the Easter Sunday attacks, which claimed the lives of over 200 individuals 5 years ago. Responding to recent statements by Reverend Father Cyril Gamini, the former Minister of Public Security went on to say that Mohammed Ibrahim, the father of the two brothers who committed suicide bombings, must be questioned on the mastermind behind the tragic Easter Sunday bombings.
During the Yahapalana government, no measures were taken to prevent this attack. All ministers in the opposition who are former members of the Yahapalana government must take sole responsibility. They were given clear instructions to arrest Zaharan. However, they didn't. The Yahapalana government did so, expecting votes of the Muslim community. I saw that members of the JVP paid a visit to His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. We must tell the JVP that the jailed father of the two sons who committed suicide bombings should be questioned about the mastermind behind the Easter Sunday attacks. We must be aware of who the mastermind is. It is his own two sons that killed themselves in this attack. They are well educated from universities in Western countries. I do not believe that Muslim extremists would sacrifice their lives to bring a Sinhalese Buddhist into power. 3 international intelligence units, including Australia's FBI and America's CIA, have determined Naufer Maulavi as the mastermind behind these attacks following the investigations. He is still imprisoned. This attack came in response to an attack carried out by a Catholic on a mosque in Christchurch in New Zealand. This is the reason behind targeting Catholic churches. What happened is very clear and they should be severely punished. It is seen that there is a delay in doing so, and the delay is not by the government. It is the delay of the courts. The 23 charges filed by the Attorney General's Department is reason for the delay. This is being taken up in 12 high courts due to its level of seriousness. The CID will consider statements from Reverend Father Cyril Gamini if those statements are new and have not been made before. However, the reason behind the delay to provide this information will be questioned.
සිරිල් ගාමිණී පියතුමාගේ තවත් චෝදනාවක් තමයි මේ බුද්ධ හමුදා බුද්ධාංශයෙන් තමයි මේක කරේ කියන එක උන්වහන්සේ නිකන් සංගවාගෙන වගේ.
The whole world is aware that it was Zaharan who committed this. He confessed to the attack in his final video, which is nearly 1 hour long.
State Minister of Finance Jahan Semasinghe noted that Sri Lanka remains steadfast in commitment to reaching debt restructuring targets. He also expressed confidence of a smooth progress in the continued good faith engagements for a speedy debt resolution. Noting the conclusion of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank spring meeting, the State Minister further said that Sri Lanka will ensure debt sustainability and comparability of debt treatment.
On the sidelines of the IMF and World Bank spring meetings, the State Minister of Finance Jahan Semasinghe held bilateral discussions with IMF's first Deputy Managing Director Geeta Gopinath. She further emphasized the need to ensure the reform momentum is maintained, adding that the close collaboration between Sri Lanka and the IMF was key in transforming the economy, and the country is now reaping results from the well-crafted policies and reforms implemented. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Spring Meetings 2024 successfully concluded with positive outcomes achieved during its proceedings, which according to State Minister Shahan Semasinghe signifies a renewed sense of determination and hope for Sri Lanka. He noted that the strides made in economic recovery and financial stability have been acknowledged as significant advancements towards Sri Lanka's prosperity by stakeholders and international partners. State Minister Semasinghe highlighted that Sri Lanka remains steadfast in its commitment to reaching the restructuring targets and is confident of smooth progress in continued good faith engagements for a speedy debt resolution. He further said Sri Lanka will ensure its sustainability and comparability of debt treatment. He also highlighted that it is imperative for all Sri Lankans to unite and support the nation's journey towards economic recovery and growth.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized the need to distribute economic benefits equitably among all citizens, acknowledging the impact of recent economic challenges on everyone. Speaking at an event, the head of state assured that no one will be left behind during the country's journey towards success and development. He further revealed that discussions are currently underway to provide salary increments and land grants to plantation communities.
The inauguration ceremony of national rice distribution to low-income families was held today at the Amagasdova Stadium in Uva Paranugama under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. 191,548 eligible families in 15 divisional secretariat divisions within the Badula district were identified to receive the subsidy. The President symbolically distributed rice bags to 25 beneficiaries, marking the commencement.
At a time when the country is progressing, certain groups continue to suffer due to loss of business opportunities and employment. We will not let anyone suffer while the other rejoice amidst the country's development. A gift should be given to everyone during this festive season. Accordingly, the low-income families would receive a monthly allocation of 10 kilograms of rice during this month and the next month. We purchased this from the small-scale rice mill owners. The rice mill owners are requested to sell rice at a higher price than the market price to the government, as then the benefit received as such can be borne by both rice mill owners as well as the farmers. The rice mill owners are requested to sell rice at a higher price than the market price to the government, as then the benefit received as such can be borne by both the rice mill owners as well as the farmers. The country can be developed through such measures. We are not leaving anyone behind. Discussions are currently underway to provide salary increments and land grants to plantation communities. In addition, we also plan to transfer them the ownership of 50,000 flats in Colombo. Efforts are underway to transfer this ownership. We have stabilized the economy.
A tense situation arose in front of the SLFP headquarters at Dali Road in Colombo 10 today when a group trying to enter the party building was obstructed by police. This development, meanwhile, came after Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was appointed as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party during the executive committee meeting of the SLFP, which convened this morning. The SLFP Politburo, led by former President Maithripala Sirisena, met last night in Jayawardhanapura. However, several parties, including SLFP Treasurer Lasantha Alagewana and National Organizer Duminda Dissanayake, expressed opposition, insisting that the meeting was illegal. Meanwhile, following the meeting yesterday, National Organizer of the SLFP, Duminda Dissanayake, in a letter to the Acting General Secretary of the SLFP, Sarathi Dushmantha Mitrapala, opposed the move and stated that yesterday's meeting was futile in the eyes of the law. Thereby, the decisions made during the meeting are not effective. The letter further read that although a decision was made last night to convene the executive committee meeting of the SLFP this morning, such decisions can only be taken by the recently appointed acting SLFP chairman, Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva, as he is vested with the powers of chairmanship and decision-making. However, the executive committee meeting of the SLFP convened this morning at a hotel in Atul Kotte with the participation of former President Maithripala Sirisena. During the meeting today, it was announced that Minister of Justice Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was appointed as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
මගේ සභාපතිතුරේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අධිකරණයේ අතුරුදහන් නියෝගයක් තියෙනවා. ඉස්ස තියෙන එක හොඳ නැහැ. ඒක නිසා විධායක සභාවෙන් පත් කරගත්ත වැඩ බලන සභාපතිතුමා විජේදාස රාජසේනතුමා බොහොම හොඳ කෙනෙක් හිටියා.
ඔබතුමාට ගොඩ දාගන්න පුළුවන් ද මේ නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ? මම අත ගහපු එකක්වත් ජොඩ නොදා ආපහු හැරිලා ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. ඔබතුමාට සමාජිකත්වයේ නැත්තම් කොහොමද මේ වැඩ බලන සභාපති වෙන්නේ කොහොමද?
In the meantime, the SLFP faction opposing former President Maithripala Sirisena called a media conference in response to the appointment of Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa.
ඉතින් එතුමා අද දැන් කියනවා නම් ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂ සමාජිකත්වයේ ගත්තා කියලා පක්ෂ දෙකක සමාජික වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් එතුමා ඉස්සෙල්ලා රටට කියන්නේ මම පොහොට්ටුවේ සමාජිකයෙක් නෙමෙයි කියලා.
හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයා විදිහට Taman ජනාධිපතිකමේ ඉන්නකොට ඒ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයට එතුමාට වග්ගයන්න බැරුණා වගේම ඒ විනාශය ඇති කරා වගේම ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය වික්කේ කීයද කියලා අපිට අහගන්න ඕන කමක් තියෙනවා. ගත්ත පුදුලන්ත අපි අහන්න කැමති එතුමාට ඩීල් දාස කියලාත් කියනවා. මේ කීයද මේ ඩීල් එක දාගත්තේ කියලා අපි අහගන්න කැමතියි. අද පත් කරගත්ත වැඩ බලන සභාපතිවරයාව අපි පිළිගන්න සූදානමක් නැහැ. ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ වැඩ බලන සභාපතිවරයා වෙන්නේ නිමල් සිරිපාත් සිල්ලා ඇමතුමා. අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ ඉතිරි වැඩ කටයුතු වැඩ බලන සභාපතිවරයාත් එක්ක අපි ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යනවා.
In this backdrop, a tense situation arose outside the SLFP quarters at Dali Road in Colombo 10 after a group trying to enter the party building were obstructed by police. Water cannons of the riot police were also deployed on site. However, no one was granted permission to enter the SLFP party headquarters. Samagi Janabalavegya MP Eran Wickramaratne says that under a SGB social protection program, special attention will be given to pregnant mothers, children and senior citizens of the country. Speaking at a media briefing, MP Wickramaratne said that under an SGB government, a scientific method to provide social protection will be built, creating an environment for the general public to be less dependent on the government. He also said that the SGB plans to implement solutions to increase interest rates of the Employee Provident Fund.
As we form the SJB policies, we have looked at how we should protect senior citizens, particularly financially. So we have two groups in our social protection program that we absolutely will always protect. One is pregnant mothers, young children and students, to make sure that there is no malnourishment. And the other group are senior citizens. The group in between, who have been politically manipulated sometimes in the past by programs like Samurdhi and now even Aswasma, which is not essentially different, we need to do away with that. Just on a scientific basis only we should look at bringing people into social protection. But people in the middle group that I referred to, their social protection for them will be for a limited period of time. We don't want to make people dependent on the state and politicians. This culture, the SJB is determined to deal with this culture and to create a more vibrant society where people are taking responsibility for their own future. To that group, we will provide protection, social protection, but we will also provide them with education, with training. We will create opportunities and access to jobs. So senior citizens we must look after. Unfortunately, the EPF value has gone down over time. We know about the bond scam and the losses in the EPF. So we are certainly going to make sure that the EPF gets the highest return.
7 people, including an 8-year-old child, lost their lives in a tragic accident during the Hill Supercross 2024 racing event in Diathalawa today. The unexpected tragedy left 23 persons injured. The accident occurred after a race car reportedly veered off the track.
The accident had occurred this afternoon during the renowned Hill Supercross 2024 racing event when a race car veered off the track. The tragic accident left nearly 30 persons, including spectators, injured. Immediate measures were taken to rush the injured to the Diathalawa Base Hospital for immediate medical treatment. Seven individuals were pronounced dead upon admission to hospital. 4 persons out of the deceased were lane markers of the racetrack, while the other 2 were spectators. An 8-year-old child is reported to be among the victims. The renowned Hill Supercross 2024 was held after a 5-year hiatus with 270 participants. The organising body took measures to halt the racing championship after this unexpected tragedy.
And now let's take a look at some local news in brief.
An individual was taken into police custody with a stash of narcotic pills in possession. Following further inspections, the police were able to seize a stash of bank books and checkbooks used to conduct drug-related activity. In Thanamalvila, meanwhile, a group of individuals had attempted to rob a tyre store. They had interacted with the shop employees, posing as customers who needed a tyre change for their vehicle. In other news, 3 from the same family were killed in an accident on the Alpitia Avittava main road. The 3 were killed in an unfortunate head-on collision involving a 3-wheeler and a lorry.
Welcome back. Sri Lanka recorded a total of 93,969 tourist arrivals during the 1st and 18th of this month. According to Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, 93,969 tourists had arrived in the country within the first 3 weeks of April. The number of tourist arrivals for this month has decreased significantly compared to the 209,181 arrivals in March. So far this year, Sri Lanka has received 729,753 tourists, crossing the 700,000 arrivals milestone. According to statistics, the highest number of tourists had arrived from India with 16,222, followed by arrivals from the UK numbering 10,037. The National Development Bank has been recognized with the Economic Dividends for Gender Equality Certification. Meanwhile, Commercial Bank announced the incorporation of the Department of Commerce with CommBank Digital, enabling online payments for services via Lanka Pay. And with that, let's take a look at more corporate news in brief.
Commercial Bank recently announced the integration of the Department of Commerce with CommBank Digital, enabling online payments for services via Lanka Pay. This enables both businesses or individuals to make secure real-time online payments for services such as registration for exporters, issuance of certificates of origin, and other facilities offered by the Department of Commerce. In other corporate news, National Development Bank PLC announced the achievement of the Economic Dividends for Gender Equality certification for the 3rd certification cycle. The EDGE certification is awarded to organizations that demonstrate a strong commitment to gender parity in the workplace.
And that's all we have to report to you tonight on First at 9. Join us again tomorrow for more. Thanks for watching. Good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.